I'm going to cover in the next, hopefully I can finish it in less than 2 hours, okay? Basically the very, very quick context of first understanding yourself, your mentor, and the investor. These are the 3 things. So the psychology behind all these things is very, very important. Now, before we begin, all right, so I will help you to understand that why people invest. And a lot of time, there's a lot of things that if you drill deep inside, okay, but people who pitch for investment, the most important attribute the person have is actually able to think very clearly. Because communication, the next layer is always very much muddled up. So why people invest? So going to give you 2 examples. The first example, okay, you look at it out here, is that you probably heard about Startup SG founder, right? So anybody have not heard about it? Startup SG founder. Okay, I assume that most of you hear about it. Now, why are we, okay, spending 99%, I mean, knowing that 99% of the company is going to fail, and yet we give them $50,000. Now you're talking about Singapore government. Huh? Singapore government is one of the smartest government. Why do they even do that? Isn't that stupid and silly? Right? This is a lot of money down here, okay? We have so far funded, I think, more than 100. iGEM alone funded more than 1,700 companies. Okay, so there's a hell lot of money down there. Now, when you start looking at this question, then you have to understand that, okay, why are they doing that? Let me go through some of the calculation and you will have a slightly better understanding of it. They always do something called CBA, cost benefit analysis. Why is the government funding it? The very first one is that each startup, we give them a $50,000 per startup. And the startup, okay, then it's less than that. Then it's about 30,000, all right? And then the startup has to raise 10,000 for it, okay? With this one, the next thing you're looking at, the startup will be able to create about 5 jobs. Okay, the 3 C-level and probably 2 employees. A little bit lopsided because that the CXO are also an employee. Because there are altogether 5 jobs down here. With the 5 jobs, okay, now the employee have to learn, figure out all the thing himself, right? There's nobody funding their learning, they have to learn on their own, all right? And naturally, most of the startup will die in about 2.4 years, okay? So it's very, very simple. On the average, you have about 2-year lifespan. If you can't cross that, okay, you'll be gone. So now you know that, hey, you know, I give them 50,000, these people go to have fun and go to finish in 2 years. But you look at it, from a government perspective, is that I create jobs. So 50,000 divided by 5 divided by 2 is $5,000 per job. $5,000 per job per year. And that is what the government is after. On the average World Bank, okay, World Bank record is that every tech job cost of job creation for every tech job is about 40,000 to 42,000 US dollar. So $5,000 is dirt cheap, right? The cost benefit analysis is very high. And you even look further there. Assuming the average salary about 4,500 for all the C-level, okay, give and take. And what is imputed value created, okay? That is about $500,000, which is 10 times the 50,000 down there. The imputed value is 10 times more, okay? And last but not least, okay, you have 5 trained talents for the whole ecosystem. Because after 2 years, the startup is gone, the people are trained. And now you have 5 trained people in this whole ecosystem, ready for other people to hire. So when you understand that, you realize that this is actually not an investment. Okay? The country, the government can spend 50,000 per startup. It is not about investment for an innovation or whatever, okay? It is an investment, okay, to train people. It's a very simple logic. Now you look at it. All right. So all of a sudden you realize that, hey, this getting the money to you is a form of investment. To the government, it is not. All right. We pay to create a job, and you learn and you become useful later. You begin to see the difference down here. Okay. You begin to see the difference out here now. Okay. Once you see the difference, then you know how you should pitch to them. All right. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. All right. So we always talk about investing in a tech company. So ST Engineering. Anybody not familiar with ST Engineering? Okay. Most of you would have heard about them. Super tech company, right? Build military hardware, build satellite, right? So this is one of the tech company. Okay. So if you look at the tech company, okay, this is probably a good investment, right? Somehow it's Temasek back. Wonderful, right? But look deeper inside, look much deeper inside, okay? So again, we are doing another CBA, okay, to look at that. ST Engineering, their revenue, okay, is $6 billion. Okay, $6 billion, that's quite a lot, right? ST Engineering have 23,000 employees. It's a big company. There's a lot of people to do work. But let's look at, okay, their margin. On the average, the system integrated margin is about 5%. Because you buy from all over the place, and then you assemble, and then you sell. Right? You just have people who fix a PC, for people you buy all the parts, assemble, and sell. Your margin is not fantastic. Okay? On the average, you get about 5%. At most, you get about 6%. All right? Most of the time, it's about 3%. So give and take, let's say it's about 5%. Then here you are. You start looking at productivity. The productivity basically is taking as a revenue divided by total number of employees. So that means that each employee produce how much? You know that now you see it's only about $250,000 per employee. $250,000 employee, you notice actually is not a lot because a lot of people in ST Engineering could have earned more, right? So your revenue per employee actually is not a lot. And then now you multiply, okay, by the margin. Every employee every year is only generating $13,000 for the shareholder. Everyone that you hire only earns that much for the company. All of a sudden you realize that, hey, you know, this isn't a lot of value. So is it a good company to invest? Right? Ultimately, what we are seeing is that ST Engineering is not about a good, what's it called, tech company. It's actually about a company that creating job. Creating job for who? Creating job for Singapore. That's the reason why Temasek is in there. Right, so when you start looking at all these things, you go really deep into it, you will begin to see that these are the logic behind, and people will understand. Right? So your investor, what are they looking at? So this is two very quick example for you to see that. All right. So the next thing I want to ask you is that a lot of time you all talk to people out there in the space and you ask, okay, people say, hey, no, can you scale? Right? I mean, this is a very common, super common question that people ask. Okay. Who's the company that do IoT one?
Data Group.
Espada.
So Espada. Maybe you want to say what do you mean by scale?
The IoT is from Sumanta.
The Data Crew.
Yeah, hi.
So, from Data Crew, yeah.
IoT is Espada, isn't it?
Oh, it's Data Crew.
Oh, Data Crew, okay. So Data Crew, maybe you want to share with us what
Sure.
by scale?
Sure. By scale, what I mean is in order to acquire or serve double the customers, I don't need double the resources. I need less than that, which means when I increase my increase the number of customers that I serve, I can serve those customers with resources which do not catch up as fast.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. That is what scale is. But a lot of people make a very common mistake by thinking that scale means that I can acquire a lot of customers. It is not about a lot of customers. So I'm going to show you the next slides. Okay. The next slides is that you can see that a lot of Singapore companies are on the bottom left, red color. Why are they red color? It's because their productivity, SC engineering is actually down here. You can see that. So for years, they never change. Okay, the productivity is actually at the bottom. Why is that so? Because as they increase their revenue, their costs go up also at the same time. So for SC engineering, a good example is that it is very heavily reliant on people. So as your sales increase, you have to hire more people. All right. So versus that, these are all the non-scale companies. So you can even see big company like what's it called, Oracle, SAP. SAP, although it's a system, it's our software, but SAP rely on a lot of consultants. Okay. So they are not scale. The scale one are the people like, for example, Google and Apple. That's what Sumanta mentioned about. When the Google increase the number of customers, in fact, customers sign up on their own, Google do not have to increase more resources. Server, everything is all there already. Okay, same for Apple, right? Apple, all the online services, this is where they help them to scale. Okay, Apple do the manufacturing, most of the people will just come and buy on their own, right? So this is where scale is all about. Okay, the productivity have to be higher, and the ability for wealth creation. Now this is what the investor refer to as scale. So, but most of the time, investor will not tell you, because when you say that, oh yeah, we can scale, we have a lot of customers when we go international, when the investment come in, I'll be able to run more marketing, have more people to serve the customer. The investor will literally inside their heart and say, okay, this is not scale. Okay, but on the other hand, is that if that thing fit the investor desire, which I'll share later, he will still go with it. But this is where the definition of scale is all about. So now, here it is. Having a very broad context, now I hopefully shake you off from the very common misunderstanding about pitching to investor, okay? And by showing you the different thinking behind the investment, right? Parting the money, be it from the government, be it looking at a particular deal. Now I would like you to now understand yourself. Okay. The most important thing is that I mentioned just now, there are three parts of it. Understanding yourself, because that of all of you, because that we are asking that who is the CEO and who is the one that's going to be the investment person. The investment person will have to have a certain characteristic. All right, and that characteristic will help you to pitch, to be able to build the network more efficiently. Okay, so now to do that, okay, let's help you to understand the context of it. Okay, first, in most of the situation when we go out and do study and survey, all right, what happened is that we see, this is actually NUS, NUS Global Undergrad Entrepreneur System, I can't remember what's that report. 81.4% of students will say that they want to do startups. But you also know that in NTU, yes, everybody say, yeah, promoting startup, all the student association, everybody think, but you don't see a lot of startup. Eventually, there's only 1.2% of people started up. Why is that so? Okay, you're asking, where are the entrepreneurs? Right? You don't see the entrepreneur. It's because that over the last 10 years, okay, what we did is that we did longitudinal survey. Some of you may have gone through this one. And we found out that 71% of people are professional. These people are professional, they're very good in solving problems, they're likely to be your CTO, all right, or somebody who run the operation. 21% of people are leader manager, they are flexible, but there's only 8% of you are entrepreneurs, okay? So when you are a student, sometimes you can't help because this is ECA, this is not something that is bread and butter. And especially now with the COVID, post-COVID normal, a lot of people will be losing their job and they're going to start business. You can't tell whether they are the entrepreneur or not. A lot of them because they start the business because they got no job. All right. But those with the entrepreneur inclination, like it or not, whether whatever the market situation, they will still be starting business, be it inside the company or on their own. Now, a few of the key characteristics you have to understand the people is that number one, for entrepreneurs, you send them out, okay, they pitch, they build something, they face a lot of difficulty, but they love it. They will keep doing it. Okay? Even no matter how high risk it is, they'll feel good about it. But the professional, if you send them out, okay, and get them to pitch, and then every time they got rejection and all these things, they will feel bad and worse. Okay? That is one of the major challenge, okay? That's why if you get a researcher, a very, very good researcher, and then you ask them and say, okay, let's go and build something. Let's go and build a business out of it. And you realize that a lot of researchers, maybe they try, but most of the time they will just simply say, forget about it, close shop, move to elsewhere, take another research grant, continue with finding knowledge, right? So the team is important, okay? The only one that is neutral about it is a leader manager. So if you get someone to the leader manager to do the fundraising, then it becomes a little bit more effective, all right? So in NTU, okay, we know that every year, we actually only have a very small percentage of them, okay? Good enough to be on their own, become entrepreneurs. But we do have a large pool of leader manager, okay? Now, to understand whether you are or your team, okay, so we're going to have this particular survey. This is only about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes survey. Okay, I want you to go to this place, okay, HTTP career choice top TK. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick stop share here and share another one. Where is my... Okay. Okay, so you can see here, okay. So career choice .tk, and then you go inside, do a profile check. Okay, I only have one thing to highlight to you. Okay, just key in all the information. Okay, and when you come to default, just leave it. All right, and then organization. Okay, I want you to just prefix your organization with, let's say, fundraising 101. Okay, and then your company, right? Okay, and then let's spend about half an hour to finish this quick survey, right? Because at the end of it, you will get an output knowing your own, what's it called, inclination. Are you a professional? Are you a entrepreneur? Are you a leader manager? And that will help you, especially your team. Okay, but along the way, you also do another 2 more tests, which I'll go through in a short while. Okay, so let's do it, and then we will be back at 4 o'clock. Okay, any question before we break on this one?
No.
No.
Okay, okay, great. Let's start first. All right, so this is actually a very, very quick survey. So it helps you to understand that where is your orientation. Largely is to look at inclination. Now, inclination is not about skill sets, not about strengths. So there's no good or bad, but basically this is what you are more interested in, all right? So this is a typical outcome that you will see. There are actually 3 parts to it. Okay, I think we can zoom in to look at it, okay? Wait, sorry. Okay, so the very first one on top, okay, that is actually your career aspiration. Where do you think that you love to be? Okay, so in this particular case, you look at this person, okay, he has a efficacy, the ability to be an entrepreneur. He also have an ability to be a very good leader. He also have quite a fair bit of ability to be a professional. So it's not about his strength, but it's just basically a reference with other people. So he has his strength, but you can see very clearly that his motivation, he is an entrepreneur, all right? He wants to be an entrepreneur, he consciously thinking of be an entrepreneur, all right? The intent, okay, is something that people are sometimes not conscious about. So motivation is that this is very clearly psychological. He want to go for it already. Intent is that he subconsciously think that he want to also. So in this particular case, is that this is a very good entrepreneur, okay, as a good co-founder, all right? But he may not be a good manager, so you just bear in mind that he is good in hustling, he's good in going forward, he's good in pivoting and figure out a way to solve things, all right? And you notice that as a leader, okay, his motivation is not very high. So reluctant to be a people manager, all right? Subconsciously, he also know that he would rather not be the one to go out and try to win deals, all right? Professional, same thing, okay? It's not going to be a very good CTO in that sense, okay? So you have to understand that. Okay, so now I just zoom in to look at it. Is that career aspiration, there are two parts of characteristics. One is that you look at type, the other one look at the strengths, all right? So the type is basically three types: entrepreneur, leader manager, or professional. Entrepreneur characteristics are the people will be able to assemble, hustle, and build something new, and also the kind of interest that they have is usually quite wide. Okay, the danger of it is that you will constantly try new things, but you may not finish all the things. But that is not a guarantee. This is the kind of characteristic by entrepreneurs. For leader manager are very good at organizing people, and they use the people to how to solve a problem. Okay, and a professional is that give them a problem. Okay, they are very good in solving it and solving it the fastest possible way. All right. So there's another attribute which you will see on your chart is that there's also in terms of strength, whether it's motivation, inclination, and efficacy. Efficacy, as I mentioned, is that this is your self-assessment that you think that you are able to do it. Okay, motivation is that you are conscious about it. Inclination is something that you are not very conscious at, but you are tuned towards that way. All right, so that is what understanding the characteristic. And when you go out for fundraising, the type of person that is very good in doing it is typically the entrepreneurs who start first, and the leader manager to do a good follow-up. Okay, now to answer all the difficult question, you need a professional. All right, so by understanding your team, okay, who to cater for what, this become very important, right? Fundraising is not just one person job. So a lot of time we have a fundraising only having an entrepreneurs, and then he cannot answer a lot of questions. All right, so a leader manager is the one that you need to have in order for you to organize yourself, especially when you go to business model canvas. We look at it, is that this is a kind of question that a logical person able to organize to do it, okay? So you need to have this kind of combination. The next portion is that you're looking at the Dow on the right-hand side. Okay, let me just bring it back to this one. Okay, a Dow down here on the right-hand side. All right, so it's basically to look at the person, how gritty he is. That means that how persistent, or rather sometimes how stubborn he is. So in terms of grit, okay, it is not necessary persistency is high is good, but need not be all the way to number 4. Okay, higher is good because he is very, very good at persistent and trying to finish something. Okay, people with high grit, success is always higher. So for an investor, a lot of time that we are naturally tuned towards looking for people with very high grades. Okay, that means that this person demonstrated he consistently pushed for something and eventually get it. Now, hanging on to the idea too hard may not be very good. So somewhere in the center, I think is good. Lower one, people tend to be easily swayed. Now, that's good for one type of investor, but most of the time, investor prefers somebody in the range of 2.5 to 3. Okay, so that's the kind of characteristic. All right. Then the next one will be the thinking profile. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Thinking profile is actually based on this something called imagenetic. All right, they are all together left brain and right brain profile. So you will see yourself that they are, okay, I'm just going to show all of them first. Okay. So they're all together 4 types. Okay, you are analytical, you are structural, you're conceptual, or you're social. Now, this is not your skill, your capability. This is just your inclination. All right. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick example that you can look at an individual notebook, how they write it, and you will be able to roughly know he belongs to which category. Now, a person will have a certain percentage in each. So, going back to the previous chart, anything more than 22.5, okay, that means it's significant. So in this particular case, you look at this one down here, it is 16.5, which means that the green portion is insignificant. That means that this is not a dominant inclination, okay? So you will just focus on his dominant inclination. So let me cover what they are. Analytical persons are the person who are very focused on goal. That means that he have an endpoint, he will go for it. Now, there is good advantage of it is that this person is very focused. He knows what's the end goal, and he will figure out, rather he will reach the goal by who or by group. Which also means that the person can be quite mercenary. That means that he don't care how you do it. So sometimes the bosses will say that I don't care how you do it, just get it done. These are likely an analytical left brain kind of person. All right. So when you look at the notebook, okay, you can see that the way they write, they usually put a dot there. They are all point form, okay, and usually is driving at outcome. Okay, this is a kind of analytical. When you look at the person, how he writes in his notebook. So this is analytical person. All right. He don't care about structure, but he works very well with the people who are structural. Now, structural person, that when you look at the notebook, that the way that they write, they always have number, if not ABC. So 0.1 something, 0.2 something. Like it or not, you just have all the number down there. When you look at the person, you have all these number, you know he's structural. Now, structural person is that usually he also have a little bit of analytical, so they are the left brain person. So we saw, say, engineer, mathematician are usually this type. But the structural person, if a structure is more dominant than analytical, you will have one particular issue. They require a framework. They require steps. And sometimes they don't care about endpoint. All they want is steps. Okay, so in a meeting, sometimes you'll meet up with these people, and a very, very common characteristic you will hear is that sometimes we discuss, and we drifted elsewhere. Structural person will be the one who come back and tell you, can we come back to the agenda? Okay, they are very, very anal that if you miss one step, and they will always want to go back to that step, because if they don't check out the one, they feel very wrong. Okay, this is a structural person. But the structural person have one very, very good capability is that they are the one that can sort out messy mess. Okay, if there's any problem, hypothetical or whatever problem, they are able to sort it out very quickly. So they are the best problem solver. Okay, so but they are not good at coming up what problem to solve. They are very good at saying, okay, you tell me this is a problem, I can do it very easily. Most of the structured person are usually professional. Then we look at the right brain person, which most of people have issues. Number one is a social person. Social person are people who are very communicable. They are going around, smiling to everybody, talk to everybody, because they are always focused on people. So in their notebook that they write, you will see heart. People, okay? Heart is actually the most common one. These are the social people. They will, when they encounter the problem, the first thing they are not thinking on their own. They will first go and talk to somebody. And then he will collect the idea, and that's where the problem begins. After you collect the idea, and when you want him to present a solution, he presents the solution as theirs. And that is where most of people say, wait a minute, hey, this is my idea. He has stolen it. Social people don't feel anything, don't feel guilty at all, because that to them they said, hey, I asked you, you gave me, that's mine. All right. So a lot of time we say, hey, idea being stolen, is it the right thing? But to the social people, nothing wrong with that. Okay. So this is how they are. They are very, very happy most of the time. They're very, very good in connecting their best person in the networking setting. Okay. But they may not be the best person to solve a problem. Then last but not least, then you see somebody that is totally aloof. So this person is conceptual. Conceptual person is that they are totally aloof, so that they are as if in their own world. They toy with a lot of idea at any one time, and they are very free to share their idea. So it is okay for you to steal the idea from a conceptual person, because as far as he is concerned, no problem at all. You can come up with a lot of ideas. All right. So sometimes you look at some entrepreneurs that is constantly sharing and give everybody, not worry about people stealing their idea. Chances are they're conceptual people. And on their notebook, you notice that they draw diagrams, a lot of diagrams. Okay. And the ability to deal with a lot of different ideas concurrently is fantastic. And you just don't know how they come up with those ideas. So they are the best person for brainstorming. The best person that when you have issues, you toss it to them, they will come up with all kind of possible solution. Okay, and that is their superpower. But conceptual person have one key issue, is that sometimes they just don't want to solve it. Right? They have all the ideas and everything out there, and that's it. Okay. Now, in a person usually have a certain percentage of each part. Okay, and when you start looking at it, then you know that which one is dominant, and the dominant one usually that is what the person is happy to do. When he's happy to do, he usually do well. Okay, so when you start looking at it, okay, conceptual people work very well with structured people, but they will kill each other. Why did I say that? Because that structured person, sometimes you need somebody to tell them what to do. Okay, conceptual people can come up with a lot of possible ideas. Okay, structured person can literally fulfill them. But if you ask the conceptual people, which one to focus on, especially a structured person said, tell me which one to focus on, and conceptual people say anything will do, he don't care. Okay, so what happened is that because of this one, they will have problem together, but they love each other, because structured person be able to find the conceptual people fantastic idea and they will be able to execute. Analytical people working with social people and it's fantastic. And if a person is both analytical and social, this is actually a very empathic leader. Okay, so there's a kind of leader. But there's also people who are quad model, that means they have all the four. And that is either very good or very bad. Very good in the sense that he is able to switch to any mode, okay, to work with different people. But he can also be stuck in a cycle, just continue different mode. Okay, so by understanding that, okay, understanding your team to go for fundraising, what are the people that is needed to handle what kind of investor? Okay, so sometimes you just have to listen very carefully that how the investor ask question. Some investor will ask you, okay, tell me, in 2 years, where will you be? There's a good chance that he's analytical. All right, analytical problem, but people solve problem is by going to the library. Okay, he will read and all these things, and then he have an answer, he will go. Social people will go and ask everybody. All right, so he's very happy. What do you think? What do you think? Oh, how do you think? How would you solve? Okay, if this is a problem. So this is the social people. Structured person, and they literally, they give them a problem, they will just lock the door out, and then he will start working it out. All right. Conceptual people, how do they solve the problem? Very aloof. Okay, you just give him anything, he will come up with any answer for you. Okay, conceptual people, one of the characteristics is that a lot of people think that they are jack of all trades. Okay, that's how the characteristic. So when you understand the characteristic inclination of your investor, you will know how to approach them. To an analytical investor, show them the outcome first. Okay, then say, okay, this is where you want to go. Then how you get there doesn't matter anymore. For structural investor, you need to show them the step. how you arrive at all these things. Okay, so it's very important because you feel comfortable about it. All right, so even the email that you write to them, okay, write to a structured investor, like it or not, you just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in sequence number, they will love it. All right, this is very important. And conceptual, okay, write in paragraph. Okay, you can talk to him about all kinds of things, going all over the place, and once in a while you pull him back to the investor deal. Social investor, go for a drink with him. Okay, share with him life story. Right? This is the one that will resonate very well with them. So because of the thinking preference, and you will know the investor characteristic, you know how to handle them easily. Okay, that's about communication. Now, bear in mind that what I shared just now is all about inclination. It is not about your ability. Okay, ability can be trained. Exactly what we are training you. But once you know the person is able to incline that way, you go along with that. All right, this is not one size fits all. It is never one size fits all. Okay, yeah. Having understand all these things, and then we can now move to the next part of it, is to understand the people that you're going to interact with. So there are two groups of people: the investor, the mentor, or connector that you're going to be. Okay, so in most of the context, you have a lot of mentor, but you also have to understand that mentor behave in a certain way. Okay, so mentor always that you group together, they will share with you, and it will share a lot of story. Okay, and the story most of the time are very valuable. Okay, not just valuable to your work, but valuable to the whole community also. So their mentor have 4 roles, very importantly. Okay, number 1, a lot of time mentor are coach, he can also be a teacher, sometimes a groom, okay, mentor groom, and eventually some of the mentor can be your investor. So you sometimes you have to observe very carefully and knowing very clearly, and you might even want to ask your mentor to clarify it. Is that which role is he playing? Sometimes all these roles interchange, but let me explain to you what are the difference. When they are a coach, coaching is coach for performance. That means that a coach will beat you, okay, until you reach that level. Okay, so you do pitching practice, okay, just keep doing and doing until that is pitch perfect. Okay, that is a coach. Okay, the role of the coach is to make sure that you reach a performance level. That is a coach. Okay, a coach to a company also the same thing. Okay, this is a KPI, let's go and achieve it. Okay, he will coach you until you achieve it. Now the another role that mentor play is also like teacher. Okay, he will teach you, impart the knowledge. Now, the teacher aspect of it, you have to understand is that the teacher teach, but it's up to the student to learn. If the student don't learn, the teacher is fine with it. I'm just imparting the knowledge. Okay, after I teach you, you don't follow, that is fine with me. I'm done my job teaching, imparting the knowledge. All right. Then the next one, you look at it, is a mentor could be grooming the team, the individual. Now, when you groom, you have to change character. Okay, bear in mind that some of your investors are also a groomer, and they will talk to you, look at you, and then he will talk to you for a very extended period of time, but he's not investing yet. Why is that so? You're looking at the company and the business, this is a potential. Maybe this will fit into some of my future business. Maybe this one reach a certain age, I can fit it into another part of the business. So you're grooming. Okay, he will help you to steer you somewhere. Okay, so a groomer usually have something in mind, right? So even for him to say, okay, I'm going to build a few companies. That is my portfolio. This is how my portfolio is going to be complete. I will groom a few and eventually see which one able to step in, right? So it's a groomer. And ultimately, when they play a role of an investor, they are only looking at, okay, how does it fit into their corporate objective, which is mostly profit. But profit have many different so-called shape and sizes, okay, which I'll cover in a short while. Okay, for those, anything that you don't understand, you can always just quickly stop me, okay? So now, I just explained to you all of them. So there are very distinct roles for mentor, coaches, and teacher, okay? Now, most of the time, mentor is a resource. Mentor, most of the time, is not a coach, okay? because that it don't push you to achieve your goal. I'm just here to share. Okay, I guide you. You have question, I answer. Right? A teacher is imparting knowledge. Mentor don't necessarily impart knowledge. Okay, when you ask, the mentor respond, then he teach. But if you don't ask, mentor may not do anything. Okay, so of course, they're a very proactive mentor by following up with you. Okay, but most of the time, mentors are not required to do that. So in a very specific format in NTUT, we have an honest broker policy, which also means that if a mentor is assigned, the mentor will be the so-called taking a role of a mentor, and it is not going to be an investor. If the mentor wants to take the role of groomer or investor, he will relinquish his role as a mentor. Because at the moment the person is an investor, his reaction and his way of approach is totally different. Okay? He will no longer be so-called neutral and let you develop yourself. Because that is his money down there. He must make sure that you, okay, as a company, as a startup, fulfill the need for him. All right. So that's a change a lot of the time. For me, is that I'm a mentor a lot of time, but I also investor. So I told my startup very clearly is that you make sure that you really want me as an investor, because that as an investor, I'm a slave driver. I breathe down your neck, okay, and I will want you to achieve what I want you to achieve based on my money and my portfolio objective. So this is a very important thing. So once you understand that, okay, don't mix it up. Because sometimes you'll feel that, hey, you know, after he put the money in, he changed so much. Well, this is who he is. You have to be very, very cognizant about it. All right. So remember, all these things are the role are constantly changing. You must be aware of them. Okay. All right. So now we zoom into the heavy part of it, is understanding your investor. Okay, I'm going to ask a very quick question since I'm seeing Michelle on my screen. Okay, tell me, what are the different type of investor? Michelle? What are the various type of investor?
Sure. What I understand is like there are angel investors, venture capital, private equity for those bigger ones, banks.
Banks,
yeah. Yes, that's all I have.
It's okay. Don't worry about it, because you hear a lot of them. So, is bank an investor?
Sorry, institutional investor. That means they have funds. I mean, they have a sizable amount of money, and then they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Institutional investor. Then is a venture capital. You mentioned venture capital. Is venture capital an institutional investor?
Yeah. They invest and part of an institute money.
Yeah. So VC invest institution money, right? Institution.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. The purpose is for us to learn together by knowing what you misunderstood. Okay, so it is a good answer. Okay, that is quite a common answer for most of the people when we ask about who are the investor, what kind of investor is that. You notice that we get quite mixed up, right? You have angel investor, you have venture capital, you mentioned bank, institutional investor, etc. Actually, private equity also. Okay. Now, you mentioned the private equity are for later stage, right?
Yes.
The reality is that private equity nowadays also come into early stage also.
Okay.
Okay. So, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to share with you that.
Thank you.
There are many type of investor, but we're going to focus on 4 types. But before we even go down there, I'm asking a question: is risk capital, which means an investor, needed for a company, a startups? All right. So anybody want to attempt to answer that questions? Is risk capital needed? Which team haven't called? How about Maskan?
Right. I think it's not always needed. It depends on the business model and the initial outlay that's required by a startup. So for a lot of them, which are only offering a web-based service, the costs of building it up are not always too high. So maybe they don't need an investor.
Okay, yeah. Need or don't need, who decide?
I think it should be up to the entrepreneur to decide.
Exactly, it's up to the entrepreneur to decide. But sometimes bear in mind that the company that don't need investment are usually damn good company, which also means that investor would love to go in, and the investor will convince them. Okay, so bear in mind that sometimes your company may not need investment, but the investor will kind of like insist and hopefully will change your mind. Okay, those are the issues that we constantly face and constantly see, and the media is kind of like turning the investment game become the only game in the startups. All right, but one of the very important thing about risk capital is, which I'm going to show in the next slide, is that 30% of the top exit, okay, oops, sorry, 30% of the exit, top exit, are not what we call foul grass company. That means that feed investor, especially VC, feeding with hell lot of money. These are the very good company. For example, LinkedIn is one of them. All right, Salesforce is one of them. That didn't raise a lot of investor money, built it until very, very sizable. Okay, so sometimes you may not need to have that kind of, I would say, that investment come in because you're able to build a company. So sometimes we call them bootstrap. Okay, they're based on whatever the money that they have. MailChimp is one of them. All right, and able to grow and sizable. Now, bear in mind that unless you need the money, it may not be a wise thing to go and take the money. All right. So let me come and look at the 4 types of investor that we are going to cover because it's relevant to you. VC is the most common one because they are very glam, okay, that you probably see and heard about them. There are many, many VC. VC basically means that you raise other people money and then use it to do an investment. We'll come to a little bit more detail about VC because this is a large group that you will probably meet. The second group of them is called angel investor. You mentioned just now, angel investor. So angel investor, I would say that a lot of them, they sometimes also pose as a mentor, right? So these are angel investor, small amount of money, start you off. And then the institution investor, I believe that is what you call a corporate venture. Okay, corporate venture. So they are running a fund, the money comes from the corporate. All right. Then last but not least, that you don't see very often is called family office. Now I don't cover the PE, private equity, because it's less likely you'll see them right now. But family office is another totally different group. They're very quiet, but they do significant investment across the so-called the spectrum, from very, very low to very, very high. Okay, you can go from 50,000 all the way to $40 million. All right, these are family office. Okay, family office sometimes can be multiple family office. That means that somebody helped to manage a few family together. All right, so these are the 4 types. Now we have to understand what kind of investment need for all these 4 types. Okay. So VC, okay, VC objective, now take note of this one, is that they are looking for the startup that can raise the next round money. Now bear in mind that this is what the VC is doing, and they're not looking at current round. They are using the current round to evaluate whether you can go for the next round and how many more rounds that you can go. This is a game. It's just like our investment game. Okay? Basically, after you go in the first one, you want to make sure that you can go for the next one and next one and next one. All right? Next up round. That's very important. That is what the VC are thinking. Okay? Subconsciously, behind the whole thing, they literally, and so if some of the company come to a VC, and I'm the VC, they pitch to me and say, look, I only need this round. Okay, you see this round, I can be operational break even, I can continue forever. Very proudly tell me. Do you think as a VC, will I invest in them? What do you think, Michelle?
I'll be very cautious. I'll still want to find out more what they can do.
The short answer is that I won't invest already.
Okay.
Because there's no up round. You notice that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's no up round, he's not interested in, okay? He wants you as a startup to continue raising money. Because this is his game. All right, so some of them, startup come to us and say, hey, you know, I only this much, after that I'll be operational break even. Because they are not thinking very clearly that who this guy is. All right, so I'm just going to use a few examples. Later when we look at how they make money, you will understand much better. Okay? Now, in terms of angel investor, you notice that they look for people who are coachable. Again, if a hotshot researcher, okay, come in and say, look, all I need is 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 from you, Mr. Angel. Okay, I'm able to build a company already. I know what to do. Okay, I am a researcher. Guess what happened? Will the angel investor be interested? Right? You all should know the answer, right? Michelle, what do you think?
Yep. Not coachable.
Yeah. So and most of the time, the what's it called? The angel investor say, "Okay, you don't need me, right? You don't need me, then there's nothing for me to play." Bear in mind that most of the angel investors are senior citizens, so they are kind of like already retired. They have a lot of time. They want to get involved, and after paying, is cannot get involved. Then forget about it, right? Then next we come to corporate venture. Corporate venture is looking for a company that is able to very simply, okay, build their product for them. Right, so the thing have to fit into their corporate product strategy. You're interested to look at you, say, can you build that for me? Right? Is there a market? Does it match with my market? All right, and that is how a corporate look at it, right? And family office basically look at that. Hey, you know, just out to make money. Okay, growing the family wealth. So I'm looking for profitable startup. But family office have another characteristic because I'll digress a little bit. Family office usually consists of 3 components. Component number 1, investment, wealth management. So wealth management allow them to invest, make money, and grow this pie. There's another 2 parts of it. One part is called trust deed. Trust deed is basically defining that how can they use their money. So there's a young junior from the family, and they say that when you grow at 18 years old, you are able to draw how much? If you want to do investment, what are the categories? So everything is all defined by the trust deed. Okay, and then the last small part of it is foundation. So foundation, you can literally call it a charity, but the purpose of the foundations is not really charity. The purpose of the foundation is tax optimization. Right? By giving this much money, how much tax can I reduce for everybody? All right. So each segment have a different purpose. So when you understand that, you know that how are you able to pitch at which angle. All right. So if you are a charity, okay, you're running a social enterprise and you have an IPC status, you're a charity, then you can go to the foundation and tell them and say, look, you put the money in and you can get 2.5x tax reduction. And tax reduction equal to this much and help him to defray other costs. Notice that there are people who are very good in fundraising. This is the skills that they have. All right. So they'll be able to tell the family office and say, hey, you know, putting in these few projects, all right, as a charity, and charity can fund to other projects. That's it. Your tax rebates. This is not about ROI. Okay. So quickly share. These are the 4 types that you will typically be meeting up. Okay. And now let me go inside and start looking at it, because when you understand how the investor make money, all right, because this is directly benefit to them. So angel investor is the easiest one. I mentioned about it. Angel investor, he pay to play. he would like to put the money, okay, in so that he is able to participate. So sometimes we call it proxy entrepreneurship. So when you look at the angel investor, very importantly is that you must be humble and listening and say, yes, sir, your idea is fantastic. Okay, so that's how you deal with an angel investor. Okay, they're very, very good uncle and auntie, so they would love to help young people. But for them, is that it is pay to play. Because that for anybody going that early, okay, the ROI is talking about maybe 7 years, 10 years, okay? So to them is that, okay, these are the spare money, I'm just going to invest and see what happens, I'm going to enjoy it, I get to close to a new technology, I'm happy, I'm enjoying it together. That's what angels are. All right, so be very, very clear about that, okay? Even an angel group, when they come in, they are very, very involved. They ask all kinds of questions, and some of the questions can get very, very personal. But that's who they are, angel investor. I jump over to look at this corporate venture capital. CVC, a lot of time that people think that they are like venture capital, but most of the time they're not. Why? Okay, there are two characteristics. One characteristic is that corporate venture capital, the money are not a fund. The money is actually what's it called, a budget coming from the company, usually the parent. The parent say, I will allocate 150 million for my corporate venture. Take for example, ST Engineering, okay, ST Engineering Venture, STEV. It's a very simple $150 million, put it down there. But does STEV, what's it called, the investment manager, get to touch and taste the money? No, they don't. The money is still back in the ST Engineering. All right. So when they want to make an investment, they will just go back and make a proposal. Upstairs, the investment committee say, okay, then the money wire down and then go and do it. So they are not fund manager at all. They can't hedge the money. The money is not with them. They can't do anything with the money. So they're not earning so-called fund manager fee. What they are earning is salary. So all the people inside, they're having a fixed salary. All right, bear in mind that they're having a fixed salary. Sometimes they may have bonus, okay, but the bonus is not in contingent to how good the investment is. All right, so they are basically salary men. All right, so once you understand that, you say, hey, wait a minute, this is the kind of people. Eventually, a corporate venture, CVC, their aspiration is eventually for me as own fund. Okay, so this is a CVC kind of people. So you understand them, you notice that they are more interested than in what do you call that, fitting the product. Because they're just employee using an investment as a mechanism. Then next we look at, okay, private equity. Okay, you mentioned about private equity, how do they get the payday is basically via exit, right? So their purpose is to look at the company, how can I restructure you? And then I will sell you off. Maybe I take a company, I chop into multiple small pieces and sell it, or take a company, have another company combine and make it bigger and then sell it off, right? So private equity, usually their time horizon is about 3 to 5 years max. Take the company ready, and then they either IPO or sell it off. Now, because the time horizon is shorter, also means that the return is smaller, but they have a huge amount of money. So even when the return multiplier is small, you talk about 3x, 4x, they are good enough. All right. Then family office, as I mentioned just now, they are interested in profit sharing. So you're looking at the company, invest in it, do you pay dividend? Right. So just some of the examples say, oh, okay, I don't need this tranche of money. After I go in, I finish, I break even already. Family office will be interested. Okay, not VC, but family office will be interested. And the family office will typically ask, okay, you're going to distribute profit, right? Because the family office investment inside could be minority share. If they do not distribute profit, there's nothing he can do. All right. So his service, the shareholder agreement may even specify inside down there how much money you will give it to the management, how much money have to be profit sharing. Okay, distributed as dividends. Because there are really examples that even I personally encountered in one of the portfolio. The company is doing very well. The company is having a cash base of more than $60 million. inside down there. And company is making good profit, but the company is not raising any round. So to a VC, what is that called? That's called a zombie, right? There's nothing I can do. You don't need to raise money. If there's no money raised, the valuation don't go up. I can't sell to anybody because the guy also don't give any dividend because he give all the money to his employee, right? Other than keeping the reserve for the operation requirement, the rest of money all give to management and employee because they are very happy about that. Now, as an investor, you have 3%, 5% sitting inside down there. There's nothing you can do. You can't sell it because nobody will buy. Anybody who buy in, you're just going to waste money down there. Okay? And there's no voting right because you only have 5%. Literally stuck. Right? So that is the kind of situation that investor hate to be in. All right? So once you understand that, these are the mechanism as a startup. Okay? Yes, you can play the investor out if you want to. But the investors are very cautious about it, so they are looking at it. Now, I'm going to zoom in, look at VC. Okay. Anybody from business school who study how the VC works before? Okay, anybody? Okay, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to just do a whiteboard.
Sorry, Alex, I think Mitchell has a question.
Okay, good. Go
In
ahead.
raising a round, is it possible to mix grants and risk capital?
Mixed grant. Okay, short answer is that it really doesn't matter. The question is that what is your focus? That's actually in your strategy, right? When you're raising a round, okay, grants is not considered as a so-called share buying. Okay, risk capital, the interest is only in share. All right. So unless you say grant is grant, and then the other part of it is in what do you call that? Convertible note. All right. Because as far as risk capital is concerned, you don't care about grants. Okay. But I think what Michelle you might be missing, mixed up is that sometimes this is not about grant. It's actually government match investment. All right. So like seed capital. Seed capital, they will match another investor. Investor come up with 1 million, seed will give another 1 million, and there is a so-called back-to-back deal together with the investor. To a startup, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay? Does it answer your questions?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So don't mix the different grant type, okay? Because some of them got string attached, some of them not. I'm not covering things like what are the different type of instrument as yet. But we will talk about it later in the later scene in the discussion. Okay, I'm going to quickly share. Okay, anybody have any other questions? Okay, if not, okay, I'm just going to put up a whiteboard and okay, I'm tilting my screen. Okay, now just as I mentioned about being VC. Okay, now the first big question is that how does VC make money? Anybody want to answer? Attempt to answer, it's okay. Wen Kai, what do you think?
I think they generally make through, well, the VC itself makes money when they exit the investment, but the manager will make money from the management fee that is charged to the people whose money is trying to manage.
Okay, so I think it's a quite a good answer. VC as an organization may make money from exit. I say may because if you look at the statistics, okay, only about 5% of them are profitable. Okay, 15% of them are barely break even. The rest of them are all on the. There's a VC statistics, okay? And there's maybe a few of them are doing very well. Okay, that's about it. We're talking about 5%, okay, it's above. 15% break even, that is when they get about 3x. Okay, ratio-wise is about 3x. So if you imagine that you're a $100 million company, your portfolio value have to be about 300 million. Then you consider break even because that's where the costs are. Okay, so as an individual, okay, because that you know that an investment typically more than 10 years, then you can get an exit. How many people will stick around for 10 years? So usually only the general partner. In fact, most of the general partner don't even stay that long. Okay, so where do they make money? Okay, the GP and every other people, they are making money from, oops. Okay, they are making money from okay, what we call management fee. Right? So management fee is the typical what we call 2% of the whole thing. So how does it work? Okay, Wenkai, you have a question?
No, did I type something?
Okay, no problem. Your question is go ahead and ask. Okay, no worry about it. This is going to be an interactive section. So imagine a fund is raising $100 million. What is 2%? How much is the 2%? It's 2 million, right?
2 million.
So it's $2 million per year. Okay, so it's 2 million per year. Okay. Now imagine that an office outfit that is having a 2 GP. Okay, maybe one principal, one associate, maybe one secretary. Rent the office plus traveling. Okay, nowadays maybe not so easy to travel, but it is still possible to travel. Okay, how much would this office cost? Okay, let's not count the GP. Okay, how much would all this cost? Good and quick estimates per year, yeah. What do you think? Associate is typically about maybe $4,000 a month. Principal maybe 6,000 to 8,000 a month. Secretary maybe 2,000, 3,000 is good enough. Office rental is small, less than 5,000 a month. Any quick guesses?
Maybe 800,000 a month, a year. Sorry.
11,000. Cannot
No,
be
800K, right? Yeah, 800,000.
Okay.
A year.
It is not 800K that much. Okay, typically it's about 300K. Okay, 300, maybe you can put it at 500K to be a little bit more generous. Okay, most of the time it's about 300K. Now, having in mind that we have a $2 million down here, you less this one, you left with 1.5 million. Where does the 1.5 million go? Okay, it will be going to the GP. Assuming that the GP1 and GP2, the GP1 is more experienced one, he got 1 million, this one got 0.5 million. Okay, so the fund life is, let's assume that it is 10 years. Every year, the GP1 can get $1 million. Do you think it's a comfortable job? This is quite comfortable. That is where majority of their money is. Okay, so now you understand this one. Okay, let me just go to the next page. Okay, look at it. Now, once you understand this one, then you have to look at the game that they are playing. Okay, now you know that this is a VC. Okay, this is the fund life of 10 years. How do they invest? Okay, they will invest, okay, the first year. Okay, nowadays they really don't have a holiday. Usually the first year is a holiday. They will figure out something along the way. And then another 3 years, this is where they do the investment. Okay, and then the rest of the time, another 6 years, this is 3, this is 1, and then next year, okay, they're supposed to work on exit. All right, so it's rather simple and straightforward. So you need to invest early, and then you'll be able to follow through them. Okay, now here you are. When they finish investing down here, okay, on the 4th years, this has become a VC, there is no more money to invest. Here's a startup. If the VC have no money to invest, would you still talk to the VC? What do you think? Anybody? A VC that don't have money to invest, will you still talk to the VC?
If they're raising funds, maybe.
No, if they are raising fund as a startup, it's none of your business. Right? Because you are not going to give them money. Right? As a startup, you are wanting money from the VC, but the VC got no more dry powder. You literally ignore them. Right? So that is exactly what happened to most of the VC after they finish money. They have to go and raise the next fund. All right. So typically they will want to raise it somewhere around here. There's some overlap. Okay, so they will be able to raise the money next round. Okay. So now in order for them to raise money, they have to be able to show some result. So the people, or rather a limited partner LP, will be interested and say, oh, okay, I'm interested to put my money with you, and so you can hopefully make more money for me, right? So this is when they come in. They want to raise the next round, okay? So that's why you say that if the VC is raising money, yes, okay? The big question that they have down here is that he's just down here only. He don't have any good result because nothing exists yet. What can he show in order for him to raise the next round? What can he show? This is important because once you understand the game, you know how to raise the money from them. Right? Anybody want to make a guess? How are they able to raise the next round? John Crystal? Or Kavya? Anybody? It's okay to just guess.
All right, so I'll give it a go. Like if the companies they have already invested in have gone through certain up rounds under, like when they have been a part, like when they have been linked with the VC, maybe they can show that.
Yeah, okay.
As like, because they don't have any conclusive like numbers because there's been no exit until then, right?
So the interest, okay, what Kavya said is very important. The interest is to make sure that the company inside the invested one have up round, right? Then he can accumulate and say that, look, I have up round here. With the up round, I'm able to go and raise some more money. So how much is up round is enough? Typically, they are looking at hopefully 3x because there's a norm, right? Which also means that they will be pushing their company, their portfolio to at least go and raise some more money. So for the early stage company, you notice that after you raise the first tranche, within 12 months, okay, he wants you to go and raise already because he don't have a lot of time. You just look at it, his time horizon actually is very, very little. Okay, so here you are. Now you understand that. Okay, you know that whenever you took his money, he wants you to go and raise the next round. All right, that is the reason why they are interested in going for that. Now, I'm going to put another part of it for you to understand. Okay, now if assuming that now you have the VC have 100 million, he has 3 years to deploy. Okay, let's make it 4 years. Okay. Let's make it 4 years to deploy. Which means that each year you have to deploy how much? Every deal is about 25 million. I mean, so every year you have to deploy 25 million. Now, when you start looking at this 25 million, it said, okay, how many deals can the VC do with 2 GP, 1 principal, and 1 associate? How many deals can they do per year? Realistically, okay, they should be able to do about 5 deals. Right, every 3 months, okay, you have to clear that, you got to do due diligence and all kind of thing, plus on top doing deal sourcing. So it is actually a lot of work down there. So if that is the case, then which also means that every deal is equal to $5 million. That's what they want to do. Because otherwise you can't deploy all the money. If you can't deploy all the money, you cannot get the exit. Okay, you can't deploy the money fast. Okay, he will not be able to have more IRR. So they have a pressure to deploy. They have the pressure to deploy per deal $5 million. Which also means that if a deal is $5 million, how much should the company be valued at? Anybody want to guess? If the deal is $5 million, how much should the company be valued at?
If it's talking about only one company, so, and VC, usually they will look at maybe 20%. So estimating is 25M valuation.
Yeah. Okay, quite close, huh? Not more than 30%. Right, so that will mean that the company have to value at between 15 to 25 million. Can you find such high valuation company easily? Not easy, huh? That's number one. Now, most of the time, okay, as I think John Christoph mentioned about it, is that we hardly do one deal. So usually it's 3 or 4 VC to syndicate a deal. If it's 2 VC syndicate the deal, the valuation basically you have to times 2. Okay, this is between 30 to 50 million. All the more difficult to find. Right? So if it's times 3, okay, you know that this is from 45, okay, to 75 mil. These are big. These are big deal. Okay. So you notice that now VC do have a lot of problem deploying their money. The question is that they didn't hear what they want to hear. That's why they don't deploy the money. But they do have a very, very serious pressure to deploy as fast as possible. Okay, so now you understand that. Okay, a lot of time when the VC say that, hey, you know, we have the money, but we can't find the project. It's actually, this is the real pressure for them. Okay, so sometimes the tactic that they do is that out of the 5 mil for one deal, they deploy 1 mil first. Okay, they keep the 4 mil, they will buy later at a higher valuation. Now, does it make sense that you want to buy something later at a more expensive price? Does it make sense? Does it make sense?
No.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't make sense on a superficial level, but it makes sense to the VC because that he can price the deal, put in the valuation, get other people to come in, and the valuation go up. Bear in mind that valuation go up is what they want. Okay, so again, let me just use some thing to illustrate. Okay, so imagine you start off, okay, in a very simple deal. Okay, the VC 1 million, and then the rest of valuation is 2 million. So this is a $3 million deal. Okay, and the VC want you to go further. Okay, later stage. Okay, now you expand. Hopefully, maybe you, for easy calculation, you just do a 10x. Okay. Okay, it's a 10x, right? So the VC 1 mil now become 10 mil, right? And he maybe put in another 1 more mil. Because of this one, the overall valuation go up, right? So this one, 3 mil become 30 mil. So this one, he has 30%. Okay. Now this one, he put his real money is 1. Okay, it's here plus 1. So it's $2 and now become $30. Right? Oh, sorry, become $11. He put in $2, but he become $11. Maybe next round, not a lot, but the company is growing big. All right. So this one maybe put in 5x. Okay. So this is 150 M company, right? The 10, 11 become 55, and he can still put in maybe 1 or 2. So now notice that he put in $1, $2, and $3, $4. $4 become 55, 56, 57 $. Right? So he can continue putting it in, okay, help to anchor it and help to push the valuation up. This is how the game is being played. Okay, so that is how all the valuation and all the things that VC is doing. Okay, and then now you have up round and up round and up round. Okay, and when you understand all this number, you know that this is what VC wants you to do, because that you as a startup is nothing but a tool for him to have all this up round. So when you secure a VC, he will always be with you. He will try to push you and they'll try to go up. Now, later we will talk about how can you help him to achieve the 10x and the 50x, because this is what they want to hear. Okay, in the pitching and all these things, this is somewhat important, and how you are able to wrap it, how are you able to present it, become very, very important. All right, so VCs want to see all these things. Okay, okay, any questions so far on this one before we switch back to the slide? Any questions so far?
Maybe I have one question. Does the performance of the company and profitability and all that reflect on the number of X, you know, in the next investment and all that? Yeah.
Short answer is no. Okay. Now, okay, valuation. Valuation is depending on 2 factors most of the time, or usually for early stage startup. Number 1 is what we call largely just about traction. So traction is based on 2 things. Number 1 is revenue, not profit, revenue. Number 2, user adoption. Okay, so these are the 2 that usually being measured. So that is the reason why that you will start seeing that, or rather you probably already seen that investor money come in and the company use it to buy customer. I use the term buy customer, for example, Uber. Uber in the early stage, you literally can take Uber and still earn money, right? Because that you have some this incentive, that discount, everything add up. Sometimes it's even more than the taxi fare that you're going to pay, right? So why is Uber doing this one? Very simple. He want to acquire the user. To them is that there is not really customer, but this is user. Didi Chuxing in China, at one stage, people just love to take their cab for very simple reason, because every 3 months I can make about 6,000 RMB. Okay, by changing upload, I mean the so-called sign up, remove the app, and then swap between the 2, etc. People even develop, I mean Chinese even develop a method to make sure that you earn the $6,000 RMB. Now bear in mind, 6,000 RMB per month is not small money, okay? It's about 1,000 plus Sing dollar, right? So some people even just professionally just go and take cab for that period of time. The whole thing lasts about 9 months. Okay, so is that an indication for the performance of the company? Not necessarily. Okay, so you have to think very carefully eventually that are you in the game of fundraising or are you in the game in building company? Right? Okay,
thanks.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's a very good question because a lot of time people just simply got confused. Am I here to build a company? Am I here to fundraise? All right, so you have to have your own moral compass, what you want to do. Because the whole workshop at the end of the day, even if you don't remember everything, but at least you're very, very clear what you want to build. Then you decide how you go forward. All right, so just a quick recap to make sure that you understand, angel investor, they pay to play. They want to be able to coach you as a startup. VC, they want you to be able to raise the next round. So once you take that, okay, the VC game, you notice that you'll be out raising money continuously, and they will constantly ask you that how can you go for the next up round? Must be up round. Nobody like the down round, okay? They only want the up round. All right, then the next one will be the corporate venture, CVC. They want to make sure that you are able to produce a product, technology for them. And private equity, they basically will rip you apart or push you for it, okay? So that he can exit within 3 years. Family office, money, that's all, okay? So once you understand different type, you have to start thinking that, what kind of investor do I want, all right? So maybe an example, but it could be wrong, huh? That let's say you do IoT, you start thinking that, is it beneficial for you to go with a VC? Or is it beneficial for you to go with a CVC? All right, CVC, the market is there already. You build a product, you latch onto that product and go, okay? That's one example. But you can also go to VC where you have loads of money and just go and grab as much, as big market as possible and become somebody, right? So you have to think very consciously, all right? You're probably not going to be angel. You don't want to deal with angel because you have a very strong product direction and you don't want the guy to so-called mix around with it, right? And because doing IoT is actually a very costly affair, it's unlikely that you can be profitable anytime soon. So maybe family office is not the right place, okay? So there's a lot of conflict of interest, which is why I mentioned you that you must be able to think very carefully right from the very beginning, what kind of investor do you want? All right, so you have VC who are focusing on IRR, okay, but the government is interested to get the corporate to pay tax. So mixing the grant with investment can become a problem. All right, so they are very, very, so once you understand the principle, you know how to resolve them already. Okay, so just a little bit of repetition now here, okay, that on a typical demo day, so you have a lot of investors down under the stage and you are presenting up there. Then you notice that VC are asking the question that how can you eventually raise the next round? You notice that if you understand what they are asking for, okay, even they don't ask in a very direct way, you are able to answer them effectively. Okay, we'll give you an example when VC talk about team, okay, in a short while. Corporate venture and family office look at the fit the corporate strategy and the product. Angel investor. Now I give you another example that some of you may be meeting, okay, especially the IoT. Okay, how about property developer? Property developer, a lot of time, okay, they are not interested to look at you as a good portfolio. But what they want you is that, can you make my space very vibrant? Well, once that is done, he has how long rented you already. He's really don't care about the small little 1 million, 2 million put on you. Okay? So understanding their needs and how you turn it, that become very important. Okay? So I give you one example, okay, when you are being asked with the question, that once you know what the investor wants, you know how to answer. Okay, for example, that most of the time you will hear the investors say, yeah, okay, we are focusing on the team. Everybody say the same thing, but they mean very, very different thing. So for an angel, when you say he's focusing on the team, he's invest because of the team, what he really means is that, is this team coachable? Will they get me involved? Right? Will they share with me their map? And will they so-called having tea, coffee with me? Will they spend enough time to update me, etc.? This is what the angel want. Okay? Whether the guy is good or not, okay, it doesn't matter. Preferably the team is not very good so that they will rely on the angel. This is what the angel want. Okay? So when you answer that, okay, you know that you must make the angel feel good that, oh, he's a wonderful person. He knows he's from the industry. He's able to cater for the need for the company. When you come to family office basically look at it. Okay, do you have a good CFO in there? Does the CFO able to control? Does he have the power to control, to look at how to derive profit? That is what the FO is looking at. Okay, very much focus and say, look, okay, this is your P&L. How are you able to build towards profitability? And this is very similar to PE, okay, private equity. Private equity, the moment they come in, they will have a good CFO inside. And the CFO is literally driving them towards making all the financial KPI. Okay, what is the amount of cost they need to reduce? Okay, what is the amount of sales they need to do? Okay, how do you reduce the inventory carry cost, etc. You will look in at numbers and then you will drive very specifically towards it. All right, you will literally can tell the logistic guy, say, I don't care what you do, go find a way to cut down the transportation cost by 30%. Because based on the metric, this is what you want to do. All right, so when you talk about the team, this is what you mean, okay, for a family office. For CVC, then that is when you look at it and say, oh, okay, this is a product. The core technology of this product depends on maybe a few patents, a few researchers. Do you have those people? Okay, if you're doing machine learning, do you have that hotshot machine learning guy down there? He's able to produce a product. That is important. And you say that, sorry, we are using everybody off the shelf. Then you're going to have no advantage, okay? So, sorry, he's looking for a team that's able to build that product. Right, he invests, I want a good team. What he means is that, do you have that hotshot developer, the IP guy, able to build the product? Right? And then the next one, the most commonly you need to say is the VC. VC looking at, okay, does your team know? Does the team is cohesive enough? Everybody focus, eye on the ball, be able to deliver the next up round. So a lot of the time they are always looking and say, look, your total money spent, what is the percentage go to marketing? Marketing, okay? Because most of the people, when they raise up one pie chart down there, more than 3/4 of them are for product development. And the VC will look at it and say, okay, you're going to spend a lot of time building products, but who is going to sell it? How can you give me the up round? Remember, the valuation increase depending on two factors. Number one is the revenue increase or user adoption. You need a sales guy, all right? If you don't have a sales guy, what is a mechanism for you to make sure that people adopt, right? Or if it's a regulation, perfect. Right, for example, the Trace Together app. Government say everybody have to use it, okay, by default. No, okay, I don't need marketing. If I build the app, government say take everybody in, that's good. I have a 5.7 million adoption. Okay, then you don't need that, but you need to be able to show the investor that this is what you're going to achieve. All right, so when the simple question is that team, investors say, I invest in team. Everyone talk about different things. So when you answer, you must know that this guy is who he is. What role is he playing? How can you address his concern? Okay, without being very, very obvious about it. All right, so now you understand that it's a very, very so-called broad, very, very different. Okay, everyone you talk to is different. All right, so when we done after tomorrow, okay, you meet with your mentor. Okay, a few key things that you need to do is, number one, you have to choose who is your right investor. Okay, not everybody. We have built a list for you. Now the list inside got a lot of different investors, although majority of them are VC. Okay, now you have to look at them and say, okay, is this guy the right investor for me? All right, so this is very important. But strategy can change, okay? Because after you talk to investor after a while, then you realize, hey, maybe I fitted in some other area. Okay, so that is what you have to think. Okay, overall strategy, find out what kind of, or rather decide what kind of investor is best for you. Not necessarily it's a VC, not necessarily a VC. Okay, sometimes family office can be very good because family office may have a family business behind it, and they have a characteristic a little bit closer to corporate venture. All right, so you can leverage on them to build, okay, until a certain stage and you break it off. So that is what you have to think in terms of long term. Who is your right investor? That's the most important thing. All right. Okay, so questions so far before we more or less wrap up. We are a little bit overshot our time. Yeah. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. All right. So most importantly, okay, now I help you to understand is that there are altogether three very important components in the fundraising that you have to understand. The very first one is knowing yourself. Okay, knowing yourself to form the team, whether you have the right team to approach, whether you can pick up the people to talk to the right people or not. So being a strategist, okay, you must be able to say, okay, for this investor, I think I will use this guy to approach because their thinking preference is similar. They're able to click, okay, to go. So you have to have a certain strategy down there. That's one. Then the next thing is that you have to understand your mentor, the mentor whom you meet, okay, not just our mentor down here, but all the other people you talk to. You must understand their psyche. What is their thinking behind it? What is their background? All right. So when they give their advice, okay, you listen with their color lens. That means that this is who they are, and then how is their advice being able to match? Okay. Don't take it lost and barrel because that different background give you different thing. All right, because that can be very, very dangerous. Okay, because we do have, okay, one of the reasons why that a lot of startup ecosystem cannot progress very effectively, like Indonesia, like Vietnam, you notice that they are very vibrant, a lot of things, but they are just not being ranked at all. The answer is actually very simple. Because they have many, many mentors who are not very so-called clear about it. The startup also don't know. So imagine that you go to one corporate venture as a mentor. He will ask you, okay, what should you do? The corporate venture will say, figure out how to be profitable first. Okay, when you are profitable, people will invest. This is what the corporate venture will tell you. A corporate person will tell you also. But when you go to a VC, and the VC will say, oh, okay, don't bother about profitability, okay? You just need to grab as many customers as possible. Then you say, oh, okay, don't need to be profitable, but the other guy is profitable. Then how? Just do a totally polarized one. So where should he follow? Most of the time, the startup will follow somewhere in the middle. This is when they fail. Neither here nor there. And so they fail. And most of the startup is being so-called not able to go so far. And what will happen is that they end up that the whole ecosystem don't have people progress. So Vietnam, we have a lot of early stage company, wonderful amount of people with a fantastic idea, but you don't see many Series A. Our whole Vietnam, okay, they have less than 80 Series A company, a few of the big companies. That's about it. That's why the ecosystem never have the momentum. All right. So bear in mind that knowing who you are talking to and what kind of background and what kind of baggage they have, you become very clear about it. It's okay to ask them questions. All right. Then next is that to understand the investor, different type of them. There are altogether 4 types of investors that we are focusing on right now: angel investor, venture capital, corporate venture, and family office. These are the 4 types that you will encounter in our exercise. And by knowing how they make money, angel investor is not looking at making money, but basically they pay to play. So they want to be involved. VC largely make money from the management fee, which also means that they want to be able to raise the next round using you. And how do they make money is that pushing you to go for up round. And then next will be corporate venture. Corporate venture is very simple. They are just employee. They're looking for good product to be integrated to their parent company. Then family office, their interest is to be profitable. All right. So they will drive at dividends. Okay. So these are the various so-called archetype once you understand that. Now, the tool that we gave you is basically 2 sets. One set is that you can get your guys to do the survey. From the survey, you will be able to so-called pick up what kind of people that you can use effectively, right? So there's one. And also teach you another skill set that you can look at the people's note, how they write. Analytical person, you will always start their sentence with a dot, okay, bullet point. Structured person start their sentence usually with number 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just take a glance at the note, you roughly know already. Social people like to draw hard, okay, in their notes. Conceptual people, their notes are typically drawings after drawing after drawings. Okay, so by understanding that, now you know how to tackle the person. Okay, and by how they ask the question, after you know how to tackle the person. All right. So now you understand the other side of the story. The next that we will start looking at how we so-called understand when they talk about some of the technical things, how should you answer it? That's where the product market fit, that's where the business model canvas, and eventually then we go into talking about how to sell it, okay? All right, so I just want to bring out one more last thing, is that investor pick winner, right? For them it's very simple, they are just looking for winner. So how can you make yourself become a winner? All right. So this picture, I believe that most of you have seen before. This is a very common to illustrate. Oh, who have not seen this one before? Tell me.
First time to see it.
Oh, first time seeing it. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, same.
So say again.
Yeah, same. Like seeing this particular image for the first time.
Oh, okay. Okay. No problem. Now, this is the Second World War. This is a U.S. Air Force, no, British Air Force. So they are doing some analysis. The analysis is that they're trying to figure out their airplane where to fortify, where to strengthen the airplane. So all the red dots are where the so-called the plane come back, and these are where the shots are. Okay, so you notice that the wing at the side, wing down here, bodies out here, the tail, all are being shot. Okay, now tell me, where should they fortify the aeroplane, assuming that they have material that is light enough, they can go anywhere? Where do you think they should fortify?
I would say the areas that are not vulnerable to being shot.
Yeah, okay. This is a common blind spot is for people to say, oh, these are places that because it's a large area, people shoot them, so they fortify those red dot area. But the reality is that, okay, what people may not see is that if the plane hit on this area, which is the left engine, there's no shot, okay? They never collect any data because the plane never make it back to the base. All right, same thing, if you hit at the cockpit, the pilot die, they never come back. All right, same thing, the other plane. So all this area, when they get hit, is actually less important. It is the more important area that you need to know, okay, where to fortify. Okay, so sometimes data may not be a very, very good help. Okay, so this is the scientist, okay, Abraham Wow, okay, that's what he did, okay. This is called a survival bias. They will think that because of this one, you survive. Actual fact is not. because you didn't get hit these three places. All right. So in a whole lesson that you have to learn is also that when you talk to the investor, okay, you have to learn as much as possible. The investor don't invest in you, okay? You have to understand that why not. Okay, those that invest in you, it's okay. You can learn later because they will eventually be the one that work together with you. All right, try to understand as much as possible that why they don't invest. Most of the time they will not tell you. Most of the time they will not tell you. So you have to be able to say, hey, you know, is there something that you're looking for? Okay, something that we didn't achieve. All right. So there is some of the very, very important lessons that you need to learn as when you pitch, which is why we put in the investment game. So investment game is a lesson that now you know the context of it. Okay, when you next go into the game, you're trying to figure out who these people are. All right, what are their objectives? How do they want to win? Okay, and then you must be able to help them contribute to your success.